the person who likely actually owns the land. So I think Mona will tell us more about that. And then actually, yeah, I think I'm going to turn it over to Mona at this point to ask his experience. So I think I'll just briefly introduce this mosaic, and then Mona can fill in the details and take it from there. But so Mona, when the earthquake struck, became just a community leader of a certain group of number of families. I don't know if it was 126 families at first. I forget the 146. 200 at the beginning.
At the beginning,
yeah.
It was 3.
It was many families.
Yeah.
And so these so imagine you're in a camp. This is right near where I lived, actually, which is kind of how I came to know about Mona, and my friend came to know about him, who made the documentary. But one of many places where people found space, set up what they could, tents, shelters, started advocating for themselves, and long story short, because I want to get to some specifics about what I want to hear Mona talk about, but evictions were happening left and right years after the earthquake, right? I mean, the land that people settled on was land people wanted for businesses, land where landowners wanted to rebuild apartments so they could start renting. I mean, naturally, it was, any land that someone settled on was needed or wanted or owned by somebody else. And so that caused problems for Mosaic, which is the community that Mona led and organized on a few different occasions. Unfortunately, they were evicted, sometimes violently, from the places where they were living, and eventually they come to settle in a part of Canaan. And I think, as you saw in the trailer to the video, they were. You saw that. You saw they were kind of building their homes there, trying to make their future there. But I'd love to now turn it over to Mona and ask, first, what they had hoped for Canaan, what they thought Canaan would bring them, you and the communities you represent, and then tell us what happened after you did move to Canaan. What was your experience there? And then we'll get on to some more specific questions, I think, after that. But I'd love to introduce Mona and hear, turn it over to him to talk us through what Canaan represented and what it turned out to be for at least this particular group of people. So, yeah. You can say it, Stan, whatever you feel like.
Thank you, Jacob.
Yeah.
And thank you for everyone. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Alberto. Thank you for everyone to be here for this history. You can excuse me for my English. So, Canaan represents a big thing for me. So, it's a place after the earthquake people can have a place to stay. They have a lot of problems. So, people don't really pay house, pay tax, really, like legally. So, what they pay tax? They pay taxes. Mostly people, they have no land. In my first camp, in Haiti, land is a big deal. When I was at Delma 30, in Port-au-Prince at Delma, I had 300 families. So most of them were from the place we lived before. An organization, European organization, contact me and say, we're gonna build house and shelter for some people of this area. So they said only for people who get land. So I said, why? The other people, they are together, but they said they have to, because they have land, we will build shelter. I said, for the other people, what you gonna do? The man said they can only work because they have no land. He said, they will build a shelter for 6,000 you, but they won't share. Um, um, they want to help other people who have no land, So I said, could you share? He said no. Like that, we had all people, the people who have land, and they have shelter. But the other people, I stay with them. I said, you have to find a land. You have to get a land, because it's really important to have a land in Haiti, or you will pass all your life to rent house. So it's not good if you don't work. It's so difficult. In Canaan, it's a place people can find land and build their house. If they can have their own land, mostly these people, the people in Canaan has no land before. They have no land before. So it's a possibility for them to have their own land in Canaan. But it's not easy. When you go over there, you have to pay money, because you find people, sometimes people call them nasty, because the same nasty people can be the good people too. So you find them, this is the way they live. You come here to find land, but you have to pay some money. If you have gone, maybe that they can negotiate a little bit. So Canaan they have positive thing in Canaan. They have also negative thing. Now they are a block of Canaan, the first Canaan before I came over there. So they built it with more security. Now it's better for them. They have everything on this area for now. But the place where I moved with the people of Mosaic, was not easy. It's not the Canaan we find people, but I have to build this place. We found someone over there, tried to build a village, but it was so difficult for them, for him. But when we saw him, we have to spend a lot of money. We lose money. One time we were somewhere, we have lost 4,000 U. They put fire, everything, and I have to move another land, and where we do some we build some tent. It was not easy. We spent, because of the land, at least 25,000 U, because we had an organization help us to pay people, to pay the people we found on this area, and also to pay the bandits, the nasty people everywhere. They have a lot of guns, and say, if you don't help, you will not stay here. So it was not easy. This local Titanien, and it was so difficult. They call it red zone, and this is the way we were. It's not in the Canaan. They have a lot of people. If it's this area, that could be. I think it would be easy for us, but unfortunately, we were just in the bad place where we developed this area. Now it's become a little bit good, but they still have problems.
And when you guys went to Canaan, what was it you have this area, it's empty. What are the things you need to make it into a city and make it into somewhere where you can live? What are the things you guys wanted or tried to build yourselves or tried to, what are the things that make a community to you?
First, we had to be sure about the security because this area, people, you cannot pass this area. Even the cars, they had a lot of accidents because they won't stay in this place. When we moved in this place, we live there. We try to put security. Even we have a lot. The same people, they have gun. They have a lot of gun because no one will protect you. But we have to think first about the security, and we try to put wall. And after that, we build a community center. We have the tank of water, and first we cook. We have to cook. We have rice and bean, other thing like we have maybe I remember 5 bag of rice and 1 bag of bean, oil, everything because it is not easy. First, we had also some medicine, and we try to organize a community like we have a committee organizer to take care many things. So it was not easy, but everyone we try to do something called lotissement. It's like we try to work on the land to give everyone. They have some people find 3 centimes. I don't know how much, but in English but everyone find 3 centimes. Like that, we organize something, but it was so difficult. We have a generator. We have water, but we have to try to create things because over there we have no electricity, no hospital, no post of police, nothing. Absolutely only land and the beach, the sea in the front. So the sea was great for us because people can have a shower. So this was one good thing.
And what, can you tell us about the picture behind you? So what ended up happening to you guys, to Mosaic, after you'd moved here, you were starting to create this community? We have this picture that Allison took during a memorial at Sintanyen for the earthquake. Can you tell us what happened to the community at Mosaic who were hoping to make this place their permanent home? What happened?
Okay, I am not alone, so I have the president of the organization Mosaic now. She can also explain a little bit. Candace Mary Welch can speak a little bit about.
Okay.
To answer your question, what happened to what Mona is describing is not the Canaan that you were describing.
Mm-hmm.
They were on the edge
Italian.
in an area called Titayen, and it was very difficult. There was no law enforcement, no water, no public utilities. They started from scratch, and it really was survival. What you have to understand about Canaan is it's barren. There are no trees. It's 110 degrees out there. The winds are fierce. The ground is rocky, and it's very, very difficult to plant in the community. So it was hard to sustain themselves as a community. They lived there for 2 years and had built a community center as a home. And the people that were claiming the real landowners, evicted this group off of Canaan. And it was a violent eviction. They came out on a Sunday morning with clubs, machetes, machine guns, and threatened the people. They clubbed a pregnant woman in the mouth. They bludgeoned another community member in the back of the head. that is on video. That's all been recorded on video. 2 days later, they came out with a bulldozer and knocked down everything that this community had built. And Mona's goal all along, when he described NGOs coming in saying, yes, we'll build houses if you have land. So if you have land, you get a house. If you have no land, you get nothing. So the poor stay poor. So it became Mona's mission to purchase a piece of land for this community. And that's when we ran into Alberto. That was 3 years ago. Mona was in Madison with a mission to purchase a piece of land near Port-au-Prince, and the estimated budget was going to be $50,000. And we thought we could do that. But after a fundraising tour and after a year or more of fundraising, we had about $10,000. So fundraising is extremely difficult when you have nothing and you are a small organization.
May I say something about fundraising? As you know, so much money was raised after the earthquake, Red Cross, and that sort of thing. I've done some investigations, other journalists have done investigations into where that money went, how it was spent. Maybe you've heard that in many places it was spent irresponsibly, or in most cases it didn't even go through Haitians or the Haitian government, but through American contractors who maybe lots of things went wrong there. But just to point out, I mean, when you're talking about how long it took you to raise $10,000, I forget the number of $1 billion. I think 1.5 billion that the Red Cross raised, and in an instant, it just kind of gives you a sense of how much money there is for certain things. Yeah.
I went into the Red Cross in Port-au-Prince. We went to the Red Cross here in Madison. We contacted numerous organizations. Mona has been on this project for the last 7 years relentlessly. We lived at Canaan for 3 years in a tent with these people with no security to keep his career on hold, to maintain security and some sort of organization in this community. Long story short, one of the community members said, Mona, land near Port-au-Prince is too expensive. Let's go further out. And we decided to go to the Central Plateau, which is about 3 hours from Port-au-Prince. And we found a piece of land there, and we purchased about 7 acres of land for $5,600. This land is fertile. There are farmers on it. There's agriculture. There are trees. There's a river that runs through it. There's a nearby hospital outside the city of Inch. There are 2 local schools that we now call our community, Mosaic, which is dwindled down to 126 families. We are in the process. So after purchasing that land 3 years ago with our $10,000, because we hired an attorney and did a survey, and Mona was extremely frugal and responsible with the money. We purchased the land, and we got another little chunk of funds, and we built a community center.
And we bought more land too.
Yeah.
There are 3 other.
He keeps buying little parcels
because we
of
need
land.
that big.
It's
Lots of
about
families.
It's still under 10 acres of land. I was just there last week with Mona and a group from Madison. Ryan was there, and the land is really promising. We have moved one family up to act as the caretaker of our new land. And one of my big concerns was, how was the local community going to receive visitors from TKN? We're moving a community into an existing community, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that 3 young children that belong to this family are attending school. We registered them in the school. They've been well received at the school. They've made playmates and friends in the community, and we feel as though we have a really great start. But all of the things that you're talking about, Jacob, what comes first, Right now we don't have electricity. We're building a well. We've constructed 2 pit toilets. We have shelter under a community center that's large enough to support this community. We start charging taxes. Where we are starting is a microfinance program to Wisconsin Microfinance, and so our community was chosen to receive microfinance loans, and we just distributed the first 30 loans. So we feel if we can get some economy started with the community and members of the community, they can begin to get foothold to, make the transition and the move to Pinch, the new community. They want out of Tutayan. For them, Tutayan is not a good place. It's not the land of milk and honey. There's been nothing but misery for the last 3 years. It's been absolutely brutal, and you cannot relate to get out of there. We're just project is funding and getting support, and that's where we're at.
So I think as you've heard, I mean, all three of us say, I think, how important land is. Allison Shelley, the photographer who is doing the current project with me about Canaan, and I have written about this in the past, just the history, the complicated history of land in Haiti. There's an article, and Allison's photos, if you want to look and get a sense of the history behind why land is so complicated. Yeah.
If Ryan wouldn't mind describing what his experience with Tutayan was. He visited Tutayan. He was there distributing water filters. And Ryan.
Yeah, if you want to quickly do that, and then I want to make sure we save some time for questions as well, because I know we've taken up most of the hour already. So go ahead, Brian. Yeah.
In Haiti, we traveled around, beautiful landscape, Tutayan, the absolute contrast compared to the beautiful land that we're describing here, that mosaic just purchased. But the sense driving in, it kind of felt like you're going to a landfill almost. Just kind of tents all around, no grass, not fertile land, very hot. Not a prosperous land at all. So we were there for a few hours, met with the community, started distributing, or getting information to distribute the microfinance loans that Candace talked about. We're enabling these people to be sufficient. Instead of giving them free aid, we're giving them small loans to start their own business and build up their own economy. Met with people there, and then we traveled to where the new mosaic will be outside of Inch. It was just absolute beautiful land, and I know myself, Mona, Candace, we're really excited about getting these families from Tutayan, where the living conditions are absolutely horrible, up to Mosaic, where there's clean water, where there's land to grow an economy. But I think the major issue right now is getting these individuals placed to Mosaic. So like we said, we have one community center, we need to build homes, we need to build a well, so it's just a matter of gathering funds and support to make this project a reality.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I mean, again, so just to be clear about the geography we're describing, Tutayan is adjacent to Canaan. Effectively, the area, the terrain is much like the rest of Canaan. Canaan is kind of sprawled. Tutayan has a fascinating history. Tutayan has been known as the dumping ground for bodies of victims in Haiti of all sorts of things for decades, of the dictators, Duvalier, their political enemies, to the earthquake victims. It was just a massive mass graves there for people after the earthquake, to the cholera epidemic, which was introduced inadvertently by the United Nations after the earthquake. And so Tutayan has this kind of fascinating history as well. But just to be clear, what they're saying now is, for some people, this Canaan area, which borders Tutayan, might be the promised land. They hope so. They hope this will be their mosaic, their community. But for others, like Mosaic, like Mona, these guys arrived only to be forced out yet again by landlords because of the land situation, and had to move away entirely. I wanted to open it up for questions from any of us, to Mona, to myself. What I'm most fascinated about when I try to explain in the forthcoming article is how politics work. How do you create a city? How do you create governance? What are the parts of a city and who can create those and who can't create those? What happens when a government tries to play catch up? What happens when you have aid organizations finally coming in and offering some things? To whom do those things go? To whom do they not? Who are the people in power who direct that money into one place or the other? Who are the power brokers of that money that's not coming from a government but coming from foreigners, right? So these are all things that fascinate me, and I write a little bit about in the forthcoming article. And rewrite a little bit about in our land history article that we did a couple years ago. But anyways, please, I'd like to open to questions to any of us, whatever or comments even about what we can learn from post-disaster urbanism, what we can learn from people who, without aid organizations at first, went and spent their own money to build their own city after an earthquake, especially the contrast between that and what we hear about kind of defenseless, poor Haitians, unable to do anything. I find that fascinating. So I'd love to hear any thoughts or questions. Yeah. Oh yeah, go ahead.
So, so people who came into Canaan and claimed land, sort of what is in place to sort of determine how much land any one family can take?
Yeah, in brief, I mean, people arrive at this land. The first people who arrive start to charge a little bit of money from the people who come after them. But again, it's government. I mean, the first people who come just kind of claim a space. And so the very first people in Canaan started charging other peoples who come, not always so much money, but eventually as time went on, land became very expensive as there's demand. So again, the first people would come and build that foundation of their house and say, this is mine. And it's okay, well, someone started building here, like, that's somebody's land, that's somebody's plot. And so that's really important, this physical foundation. If you want to, if I'm a person who's coming to Canaan and I want to stake a claim, I mean, to just my physical, house, building that foundation is key. You might not, it might be years or never before you, build a house of your own, but that foundation says, this is my land. But it's, totally unregulated. It's not legal. I mean, this is either Haitian's government land, that you're building on without permission, or more likely, not even Haiti's government land. It belongs to some company that was going to develop the area years ago that still has the title, probably. I write about this as well in the article. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of the Wild West. You go and try to claim a land, try to agree with the neighbors, hey, can I use this land? Maybe pay people a little bit of money to be able to use it. Or if you just don't have that money, you go farther and farther and farther until you're in a place where no one has settled yet. The area of Canaan has just expanded to this entire region, essentially. People will keep going farther to find some land. I don't know if that answers the question, but if anyone, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
a clarification. Thank you. This is fascinating. I wanted to understand, make sure that I understood. So there is a Canaan that is still there, and there's a part that has relocated to Mosaic. Is that how it is?
Sorry, yeah, the geography is hard. Let me pull up a map again, and maybe I can make more sense of it, because we've been using all these names that we're familiar with, and it's very hard to follow. So, yeah. So Port-au-Prince, let me zoom back out. So this area here, north of Port-au-Prince is down at the bottom below us. None of this, this is all vacant land. And there's a little part of it around here, I think, called Kurai, which was the very first settlement. This is where the NGOs, Sean Penn, the government, the UN said, let's build some shelters, bring people there. Then everyone else just started moving on their own around this whole area to all different parts. I mean, they give it biblical names, aspirational names like Jerusalem. I mean, you can zoom in and see all the names and this not. This used to be here, up here there were people living in this area already. But this whole area and below where the picture is, this vast stretch of land. You guys are even, yeah.
Yeah, this is the way we are. That just right here.
Right.
Yeah.
Titanian would be, is it before Grasse de Dieu?
Grasse de Dieu is exactly the.
It's exactly there, yeah.
Exactly.
So Mosaic was just, Mona and his community of, a couple hundred families that took, that story is replayed out, hundreds or thousands of times. I mean, communities that move together, usually it's individuals moving, but sometimes, families, but sometimes it's, in this case, a whole community moving to find their plot. Mona decided to, or was able to, after much research, find a plot here. That then turned out to not last.
I would like to move my community in this area, but this was so expensive.
Yeah.
They showed me little land and they asked me a lot of money for the land the government gave.
Which is why now Mosaic is in a different city near a different town in Haiti called Inch, where it was much cheaper.
Where we were, so it was.
Yeah.
It is good for them in Kauai, but where we moved was really not easy.
That's true. There's diversity among these different places of the greater Canaan region. Does that help a little bit? But now where the community is living is another place entirely. Yeah.
I just want to say too that when they were originally in Port-au-Prince after the earthquake, in the city of Port-au-Prince, and they squatted on a vacant soccer field for 2 years, they were evicted off of that because of the construction that was happening and the rebuilding. And they were told to go out to Canaan and go to that specific place because the government was giving each family $125 to go out there. And they went out there, but there were signs that said this is private property. And they had a paper from the government that said, no, we're supposed to go here. And so stake their claim that they were later evicted.
And we have to say, since